Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Look what Postman Pat just bought. Yay! This has come all the way from Canada and is basically, if you remember on a previous video I was saying about the sponge rock and the fact that I can't actually get it anymore because the only UK supplier has stopped selling and he's run out. And Corina actually said, well, thanks for your videos, and I've got a lot of help and thoughts and things from the videos, and as a thank you I'm going to send you some sponge rock all the way from Canada. So there we go, 2 bags of sponge rock, which will probably last me forever, quite honestly. So thank you, Corina. And to return a sort of favour, I'll stick a link on my channel on the right hand side so that you get like a little feature, if you know what I mean, and I'll put some words in the description. But thank you very much. A treat. Yay! And while we're at things going on, this big empty space up here is because I'm in the middle of watering, and when I'm watering everything goes all over the floor and then I carefully put it back where it goes. But following on from what Danny did a video on the stages of Dendrobiums. Now obviously it's a vast genus, Dendrobium, one of the largest, I think second only to Bulbophyllums, I think. That might be wrong. But they do have different stages, except this one. This is Hercoglossum, and this has a unique growth pattern in my environment, I will say, because perhaps the way other people grow it, it hasn't. But you can see the older canes, some of which are becoming leafless, but they're still not leafless. They've still got a few leaves on the end. But if you look at the ends of those canes, they have stopped growing. They're not going to grow anymore, but that doesn't mean they won't bloom in places. This is last year's canes. Yeah? Now, on a semi-deciduous Dendrobium, the previous year's canes, in their following year, which would be the current year now, they should start to think about dropping some leaves. And obviously, through the winter, they should produce their buds. Now, this one for me blooms incredibly well, but it's never had the winter rest. And it's still not going to get it because it blooms so well as I keep it. So why go through the stress of doing all that when this one does okay? But this is what we're getting at, the stages of Dendrobium growth. These canes are still in active growth. They've even got mealybugs. Oh God, here we go again. I've just watered all that lot and all those shelves right down there, and I think I saw 4 or 5 small mealybugs which got dealt with as I went along. So they're still about, but I also did all my Phalaenopsis project plants today. I mean, all they get is lifted out, you know, the tray gets rinsed out, fresh water with a bit of feed in and dunked back in there and put straight back where they came from. So pretty easy maintenance really, but only one of those needed the spray. Last time I did it, 2 or 3 needed the spray. The time before I did it, I'd actually left them a while, and they all had mealybugs and some had some scale. So all I can say is, as the heat dies down and the days get shorter, the bugs aren't doing as well. I'm getting on top of them now. I'm actually, although I've still got a few around, I don't feel like they're winning. In fact, they're losing. They're dying at a rate of knots, shall we say. But this is the sort of stages, and while I was at it I thought there's, up on that wire up there are 4 semi-deciduous Dendrobiums that only ever come down to be watered. This is one of them. I think that's Primulinum, I think that one's called. Yep, Primulinum. Now I've just had I saw somebody posted on one of the Facebook orchid sites, and they put a lovely picture of a beautiful orchid in flower that they said was Primulinum, and it had a lovely bright yellow centre, beautiful blooms, but if you actually look on the orchid species sites and various other places, Primulinum has no yellow. So either mine's mislabelled, or that one's mislabelled, or there's some pretty wrong information lurking out there. which I'm not surprised at sometimes. But again, different stages of growth. This cane is still growing, yeah? Its leaves are mottled, and because that's not got any worse and affected the other newer canes, I've ignored it. It's not a virus or anything. I'm reasonably sure that that was down to me overfeeding in my urge to get nice strong new canes. I may have overdone that one. That could be a light feeder, and if you put too much feed into orchids you will get some damage, yeah? And it is at cell level, and you know, you can see those leaves have been damaged at cell level. I don't believe that's sunburn. It's the wrong type of markings to be sunburn, and if it was sunburn, surely that delicate new growth would have got it first. It's nearer the roof for a start, sticks up, yeah? So again, different stages of growth. The older canes are leafless on this one, and it's got lots of, hanging over this side, completely leafless canes that I don't believe are ever going to bloom in the spring, if it does bloom, because it will get rested. That's got to come out of that media and go into some new stuff, but I'm reluctant to do it now. It's the wrong time of year to be hoiking Dendrobiums out of their pots, really, unless it's essential. So that one will get rested, and it's still got actively growing canes, so it's still getting a bit of feed and watered on a regular basis. I let my plants tell me when they want to rest, and if they want to rest. And if you get a Dendrobium that's lost its seasonal functioning, it sometimes will grow on right through the winter. You've got a choice. You either force it to rest, in which case those new canes will stop growing and they won't be full size, but you'll kick the season back into the plant, and it will accept that this is the winter, this is when I don't get so much water, I don't get any feed, and I'm supposed to stop growing and produce some buds for next year. So you can sort of force that season into it. I'm not keen on doing that sort of thing. Right, onto that one. Right, where did I get to? Sorry about somebody at the door. Let's choose awkward moments. Now, this is a weak plant. This is a Anosmum semi-alba, and I'm coming to the conclusion that albas and semi-albums don't often have the vigour that the natural species would have. But this year's cane effectively is a little bit shorter than the other canes. It hasn't actually finished growing yet, so again, I'm not stopping watering it or anything yet. Might be soon. This one is Glomeratum, which has lovely flowers. I'll do pop-ups for those that have bloomed. They haven't all. But again, in character, yeah, that cane is still probably growing, although I believe that may be its last leaf. But that's a 2-year cane. It didn't stop growing last year because it didn't get rested. This is this year's cane, nice bolt upright one, and that one is definitely still growing. So again, it's an out of season Dendrobium. It hasn't really got its head round where winter starts and where winter ends yet. And then this monster, which will do for today, as I say, I was only filming those while they're down here because I can't get at them normally. They're up in the roof, so they're a silhouette on film. But this is Nesta, which is an Anosmum cross. This was the cane that was in flower when I got it, yeah? That was its old cane, which was a little bit longer. And then there's a couple of tatty little things, but I got a kiki on that one, so I'm nurturing that and making sure those roots don't get knocked or anything to get myself a new plant, albeit a tiny little one. But this is the new cane. Yeah, it's huge, and it's far from finished growing. That's still a very active cane. It's still pushing out new leaves. That's well, I'd say that was 1 metre long now. And as a consequence, it's a flipping nuisance because it's incredibly difficult to accommodate a cane that's 1 metre long. I mean, it sits up in the roof, and you know, the bottom of the cane is down off the back of that shelf, down in that little bit there. It fills that whole gap and touches lots of other plants, and the other plants don't move very well because that cane's in the way. But nonetheless, boy am I overjoyed with the size of that growth. I would have liked 2, but if that flowers along the length of that cane, that's going to be a showstopper. Because the Nesta blooms are stunning, and the fragrance, oh! Anyway, let's just a quick look round a few Dendrobiums, just really following on from what Danny was saying about, you know, is my Dendrobium slowing up, ready for a winter rest? Or is it an out-of-season Dendrobium that should be, but isn't? And the choices are, you either keep it growing and extend those canes, and the chances are you'll either lose your blooms completely in the spring or you won't get many. You might be lucky and still get some, but that's your choice. You either keep the canes growing and then try and get the season back into the plant at the appropriate time the following year, having got some good strong canes, or you force it into a rest. Those are your choices. A little afterthought to finish off. The Facebook pages and the like at the moment are awash with Phalaenopsis type Dendrobiums. They do put on a good show, and quite honestly, for a lot of people, they're probably the easiest of the Dendrobiums to handle because they are continuous growers. So you don't have to worry about resting and all that sort of stuff. You know, you just need to keep them reasonably well watered. If they're actively growing and you've got the temperatures, then you can actually water them relatively heavily, but don't drown the poor things. And obviously if you're working at cooler temperatures, these are not going to do as well. They are, you know, intermediate, heading towards warm growers because of where they come from. But again, the hybridization process, which is extensive in this particular type of Dendrobium, it's long since gone away from the species, and a lot of those little finicky things have been just bred out. So these are actually, I would say they're almost as tolerant of variety in environmental conditions as Phalaenopsis are. They're pretty tolerant Dendrobiums, so they are pretty easy. But again, they have a totally different style of growth. They tend to put up canes like this. If they're nice and big and fat like that, then you've done well. I can't say I did well with that because that was there when I bought it. They often have a terminal spike. In other words, the spike comes out of the top. You can see the old one there. And then they push out new growths from the base. I don't think I've ever seen a Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium with a kiki. They are pretty good at putting the growths out in the right flipping place down the bottom. And you can see there's quite a few new growths coming on there. And I don't have to worry about those new growths. It's a continuous grower. So it doesn't matter what time of year those growths start, they will get the chance to mature and grow to their full size given the conditions they're in. But do be aware that some of the Phalaenopsis hybrids do have a tendency to only push a terminal spike out, and then you don't get any more off that spike. As you head back towards the species, in other words, the hybridization program perhaps is not quite as extensive in the hybrid you've got, they can push out additional spikes lower down from leaf joints. I mean, I haven't actually got that Phalaenopsis now. It was one of my early Dendrobiums, and I didn't think I was looking after it very well, so I sold it at the Orchid Society. But that was one of those. And I mean, at the time when I got it, it actually had 4 spikes off of the same cane. So that's the foggers kicking in. It's because I've got the fans off. Yeah, so yet a different type, continuous grower. Now, other types that come into that category, most of the Latoria types, anything from around that sort of Philippines, New Guinea sort of area like that, the northern part of Australia, depending on the height it grows at, do be careful with that, but the relatively low-lying type Dendrobiums from that area don't get true seasons, so they are continuous growers, and they do like some warmth. They don't like to chill. So go steady if you've got those type of Dendrobiums. Don't get them too cold. Okay, so just an afterthought really, because most of my Dendrobiums are deciduous or semi-deciduous. The Nobiles come into that category, and they're next for the watering treatment, but that's a jungle up there. I have to go ever so careful trying to lift those down, because you lift one down and knock 3 over. So I do that as a separate thing, that shelf, because it's a bit of a tangle, and that's next on the list. Okay, so just a thank you to Corina for my gift. That's greatly appreciated. It was something I was thinking I was going to have to do without, and now it's great because the stuff I've been sent has actually got larger pieces in than the stuff I had before. So I can actually use a sieving process and have some really large stuff, some medium stuff and some smaller stuff now. I've got choices. Yay! Okay, so just a few Dendrobium thoughts while I was in the middle of watering. Now I've got to sort this flipping lot out and get them back on the shelves. Oh, what fun! See you again. Thanks for dropping by.